that we're feeding through to the folks out there. If you guys can hear us loud and clear, let us know about that. Or if there's any issues, let us know. Don't forget to smash those thumbs ups. All right. In the meanwhile, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to remind everyone to go to hankstrange.com, sign up for the email list. Very important. That's how we keep in touch with you. So, very important thing here. Let me see. I'm hearing my own self, but that's me. Okay, here we go.
We're on.
I think we're feeding through to everyone out there. So go to hankstrange.com, sign up for the email list. We've got lots of links there. If you want to get your hands on the patches, you got to go to hankstrange.com. That's where you get it. If I can hold them up. Very confusing to hold this like a mirror effect. It's very confusing. Anyway, you can get these patches on the website. You can find out links to other things that we have going on. That's pretty much it. What I want to tell you guys. Lola throws up deals on there, etc. So go there. Let's see. I also want to thank Harry's Holsters for sponsoring the show. Shout out to Harry's Holsters. If you guys use the code HankStrange, you get 10% off at Harry's Holsters. So thanks to them. Also, big shout out to Safety Harbor Firearms, Walter, and everyone over there. We're not going to have a show tomorrow. Usually on Fridays we plug the Safety Harbor Firearms, but we won't be here tomorrow.
Because it's chaos.
Yeah, pretty much, Walter. Pretty much.
Chaos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on my best behavior tonight.
Oh boy, I don't know. That's not a good sign. All right, so listen. Go ahead. What?
I'm gonna leave the politics out, and we'll just talk about guns.
We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Smash those thumbs ups out there. Share this if you can. Okay, we've got Milsurp Mike, our guest here for the first time. Mike, we do jazz hands. There you go. Let's get those jazz hands going. All right. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on. This is episode 599 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. That's right, 599. So Monday, when we come back for Free For All Monday, it will be the 600th episode. My guest tonight is Milsurp Mike of YouTube. His channel is Milsurp Mike Channel on YouTube, if you guys want to check that out. Also, Walter Keller, Safety Harbor Firearms, here joining us. What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
How's it going?
Good. Yes, yes, we're here, and we're ready to rock and roll. Mike, this is my first time meeting you, so I'm going to assume Lola has already put something on the board. Have Mike tell us who he is, how he started doing YouTube, what kind of stuff he's into. So how about that, man? I'm sure, it's not too difficult.
All right, I'm Milsurp Mike. I started out just doing Milsurps. I kind of wanted, and then I kind of evolved a little bit. I kind of wanted to be a kind of a Cliff Notes version of seeing Arsenal. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you wanted to find out about a firearm, you could go on and watch a 5 to 15-minute video and learn about it. It doesn't. I don't go in that much depth. I mean, I don't have time to make that. But I also do. I'm also into modern firearms. I've plenty of those videos up, and I do get in the 2A issues. A big fan of the GOA. Mm-hmm. So I got a link. I'm sure you got a link to them too. I got a link to them on my channel. But I basically enjoy history. I enjoy firearms, and my YouTube channel is kind of an outlet to keep me from annoying friends, family, and coworkers.
Okay. I was gonna say the wife. Are you married?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes. That's too bad, because Kathleen Music Lover says Mike is good looking. Unless you're married to Kathleen Music Lover, I don't know. It's always possible.
Yeah. I don't know, unless my wife came up with a weird username on there, but I don't. No. I don't think she watches much of the gun stuff. So. Right.
Oh, okay. So I am showing your channel here. I'm gonna recommend everyone go subscribe to the channel. We've subscribed as well, so you guys should go check it out. We're gonna be talking about it, and probably several things that we get into here, since YouTube has these draconian laws where we can't show stuff. So a lot of stuff that Mike and even Walter get into talking about here, you guys, you can go to YouTube. I'll try to throw things up there if I can, if there's a source for me to do it. But you can definitely go check out Milsurp Mike channel on YouTube, and you'll be able to see those things, most of them. right? That sounds good. Let's see what's going on here. Michael Avon says, big fan of Milsurps, which is also Walter's into it. Daniel, God is my judge, says, at Milsurp Mike channel, he likes guns and loves old guns. So
Daniel's an awesome dude.
And Kathleen Music Lover says she's way too old to interest Mike, and he is married. So, okay, there you go. Hey, listen, I would like to make a love connection here. That's on my wish list of the podcast. We make a love connection. Two people meet here on the podcast and get married and everything. Invite us to the wedding. That would be nice.
Have little
little babies.
Little babies.
Yeah, little babies named Hank. So We Run Guns says Mike has a great channel, been sub for a while. And let's see. And Night Train says always remember that Google is owned by YouTube's owned by Google. Daniel, God is my judge, says I'm not. So there you go. And Kathleen Music Lover says, sheesh, I just made a comment. Yeah, but hey. I think, wasn't Kathleen Music Lover going at me the other day? Yeah, I think so. So,
probably.
Comeuppance. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. So, okay, let's see. Now, obviously, Walter, you like Milsurp also.
Yes, I do.
Yes, and I had to make you not talk about Milsurp before we got the show started. Yeah. So you ready? You ready to jump in now? You want to talk about?
Am I allowed to ask questions now?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see here.
Okay, get into it.
So how long you been messing with this stuff?
Me, I've really only been collecting about 10 years because the current job that I got that a little over a decade ago, which gave me enough disposable income to really get into it, which actually the last 10 years is kind of a bad time to just be starting. I kind of wish I was getting into it, 20, 25 years ago, but oh well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, things have definitely changed in the surplus gun world, especially the prices.
Definitely
on a lot of things. Yeah.
What was the first? Here, I'll throw in a question here. What was the first Milsurp gun that you got, Mike? And then we'll let Walter, since Walter was doing this since like 1902 or something. We'll start. We'll let Mike. What was your first gun, Mike?
Mine is pretty much the gateway drug for anybody who gets into Milsurps. A Mosin 9130.
God, how'd I know that?
I don't know. My sister and brother-in-law had one, so I went to the gun show. I got 2 hex receiver ones for $100 total, and I gave one to my dad, and I kept one. So that was my first Milsurp, was that Mosin 9130.
The Mosin, okay. Is that the same thing for you, Walter, or
no? I mean, if you go back in time further, there was also Mosins then too, but a lot of people getting SKSs. When you could get a used Chinese SKS for like $59, $79 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But very first Surp. See, I grew up with this military surplus stuff because my dad had it.
So you're pulling up that I grew up with this card.
And he bought stuff back when Swedish Mausers were like $15 and things like that, and there was barrels of guns in the store, and you just picked one out of the barrel and well, I mean, have you ever seen?
No, I'm just laughing because. I'm just laughing.
I hear about those stories, and I wished I.
Yeah. Well, my dad tells a story about he used to go to the Salvation Army my dad. We're from Rockford, Illinois originally, so they had a Salvation Army there, and at the Salvation Army there was all kinds of stuff, and there were drums or barrels or boxes full of M1 Garand bayonets, $1 a piece.
Wow.
So he got like 1 or 2, but $1 was worth a lot more than $1 is now.
Yeah.
So
what year was that? What year do we think that was?
Oh, that's probably early '60s. So
early 60s. So
yeah.
yeah. I mean, $1 was what, like dinner back then?
Well, yeah, you probably get a gallon of milk and some butter for $1. I mean,
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Not bad.
or
Not
a
bad.
loaf of bread and some butter or whatever. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and some milk. But anyways, so yeah, he's from a different era when it comes to military surplus stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where bolt action rifles were everywhere and they were cheap but then he had that stuff around the house, so I always saw this stuff. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't running around the neighborhood trying to shoot people or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these. I just grew up with the stuff. That and Bugs Bunny, and Elmer Fudd.
Mm-hmm.
So then, I always had an interest in that stuff, and then eventually I bought some things on my own, AK, HK91, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and SKSs, and then I eventually got my dealer's license. The first time I got my dealer's license was right after Bill Clinton got elected. So that was early 90s, and that's when things were still fun until all the bands started kicking in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's here we are.
Let me get this up real quick. Jay Loafers gave us $5. He says some old guns are cool and interesting. Yeah, I think all of them are. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of guns out there. I think you go through phases in the gun world when you get into it. So, like maybe someone like myself, maybe I get in, I'm into the new sexy stuff or whatever. But as time goes on, you start to appreciate the older guns, and we all have different things that we look for.
I tend to just rotate. Like I got into a revolver kick earlier this year, and I mean I'm not talking old revolvers. I'm talking like the Smith & Wesson 686 and Ruger GP100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for some reason I was in a revolver kick. Now
Mm-hmm.
now I'm kind of in an AK kick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been doing a bunch of Russian videos to lead up to that, because I'm going to do some different AK videos. But yeah, I mean I go through phases where I buy ARs and stuff, but I always go back to Milsurps.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have one or two of those kicks every year.
Yeah. So the thing that was making me laugh when Walter said you buy it in a barrel. So obviously I don't remember that, but I remember when we first came to live in America back in the 80s, we didn't really have that much money when first time immigrant. Like we were so poor, those like we were so poor stories. We were so poor that my mom would go to like those, I guess today you call them like 99-cent stores. I'm trying to remember if that's what they were back then. But they would basically have these barrels of no-name brand sneakers. Not Nikes, Ikes.
Just tied together by the shoelaces.
Yes. And she would get it out of a barrel. So when you were like, just those two thoughts in my brain that, maybe 20, 30 years before, let's say 20-something years before that, you could go somewhere and just get guns in a barrel. So awesome, man. Why are we not still living in that world?
There's a lot of things contributing to that, but I mean, and used to do things like at the stores or sporting goods stores. Hey, you buy this rifle, you get a free Mauser or whatever. Grab it out of the barrel. Pick one out of your thing. All kinds of promotional stuff. But I was going to say before, have you ever seen? I don't know if it's in New York City or which city it's in, but there's a place where they have a fence made out of Mosin Nagant barreled actions. So the whole fence, all the standing part of the fence is all Mosin Nagant rifles.
I'm trying to think.
I forget where that's at.
If someone out there knows where it is, let us know. We'll throw it up.
Because that's how at one point, a Mosin Nagant, like after World War I, or there were times when there was so much surplus and some of that stuff was just so nobody cared, so it was just scrap. They made it into a fence.
Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna roll in some footage of me shooting a Mosin in the rain. This is old school footage here, and actually this one belonged to my buddy Yak Yaz. And I know there's people who are gonna think this is sacrilege, because I remember when we put up this video, there were a lot of mad people because we're shooting the Mosin in the rain. To which I would say, what do you think happened in the
for real
in the olden days when they actually
shooting in the rain gets a lot of cool fireball shots too.
Yeah, it looks good. It
The
does look
filming.
good.
You can steam off the barrel after you get done and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then let's see. Appalachian Gunrunner said, my dad gave me an SKS in the mid-90s, and his friends who were mostly non-vets swore by them, and I believe that's where my love for SKSs and AK variants began.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean, there's a lot of I don't know how you like things, Daniel, but if I
Mike,
have my
it's
choice,
Mike.
Mike, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I don't know why I was thinking Daniel.
No.
When I get if I have my choice, if I was going to get a military surplus gun,
Mhm.
I like to have it like it was used, not like it's been all refurbished and made all pretty and everything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sporterizing is the devil's work.
Well, not so much sporterizing, but just like arsenal reconditioned. You know, like a lot of Mosin Nagants all come out all pretty and shiny, and versus say like you get an old Chinese one. Or an
You
old
want like the
Romanian.
patina. You want the patina.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
You want that.
Mhm.
You want that.
Yeah, no rebluing, no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mistake I made because those first two Mosins that I told you about,
Right.
gave that to my dad for Father's Day. I actually had my brother-in-law refinish that, and I kind of regret that now.
Yeah.
That's before I really got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, that was a M1 Garand. Sorry, that was an M1 Garand.
Oh, did you shot? Yeah.
Yeah, that was an M1 Garand there that I shot. I don't know. I mix things up real easy. I'm
M1
dyslexic. I'm gonna blame it on that. Right.
M1's a little higher up the
I'm
food
sure.
chain than a Mosin, but
Yeah.
isn't it
So
collectibility?
that one is sacrilege to shoot in the rain.
No, it isn't.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it isn't.
All right, just checking.
It's metal and wood. It'll survive.
Yeah. What what are the? I mean, obviously, I know you guys are going to get into your own thing here, but I'd like to know what's the coveted Milsurp stuff.
Oh man, if I ever got into NFA stuff, like if I had a bunch of money jumped in my lap and got the NFA stuff, I mean, I want a Storm Gewehr 44 at some point before I die.
I think you and lots of people,
but everybody else too.
Yeah.
But
and those are how many real ones of those are out there?
There's quite a few.
They've made a lot. So.
Oh, okay. Really? Okay.
But I mean, you're looking at $40,000 to get into the game.
Transferable, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you ever had a Sturmgewehr, Walter?
No, but I do have parts. But luckily,
Okay.
Unfortunately for you guys, I don't have them here they're at the shop actually.
Oh, okay. But so is that on your list also? Is that like you would agree that's a highly coveted?
That's one of the top ones on my list. Yes.
Okay. What else is on your list?
Well, it'd be nice to have a FG42. You know, I have the semi-auto one, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a real one, but that's probably $120,000 for a transferable one.
So those are more than the Sturmgewehrs.
Oh yeah, because they didn't make as many.
Oh, okay. All right.
And not as many of them got brought back.
Okay.
A lot harder to put one of those in a duffel bag.
Okay.
Well, it's not. Yeah, there just weren't as many of them on the battlefield. I don't think, because that was supposed to be the paratroopers' guns. So.
Okay. Wait, that was the one because I think we did a video on this. They kind of developed that later in the war.
Probably mid-war that started.
Okay.
And there was all kinds of variants, and it was never developed fully before the war ended. So.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. I feel like you want to say something here.
I was just to say, the thing about the Germans is that, I mean, like you said, they didn't develop fully. Like, it was kind of amazing the Sturmgewehr 44 got out there, kind of a Schmeisser's, I don't know what the phrase I'm looking for, but, it's like his grand finale or whatever. But, the Germans, like even in other, like artillery and stuff, they kept inventing stuff, but they wouldn't just crank down and mass produce something, and that was to their detriment.
Right.
Yeah.
So you look at maybe Swan Song. Schmeisser was the guy who developed that gun. What happened to him?
I don't know if.
No.
I'm trying to think the lineage. I don't know if Schmeisser himself was, or I'm not sure. I'm not going to say something that's for sure. But
yeah, I'm not 100%. I mean, I think he's probably pretty old by the time World War II came around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know he did have his fingers in it at least, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And who is that then?
What?
Schmeiser.
Have you? He's kind of the developer of the first submachine gun, kind of like in like the end of World War One. There was the MP-18. That was him. I haven't really done much research into him or into the Germans yet. I'm kind of in a Russian phase. There you go.
Yeah. Walter's got a book.
Yeah, I bought this book when I was in England last summer.
Oh, okay.
This is a pretty good one. It's got lots of. I like pictures. It's got lots of color pictures, So. Oh, look at that! Look what's on the back. Look at that. Open up the page, and there's an MP-44 or something with an optic on it. I heard recently that one of those optics sold for $19,000 at auction, just for the scope.
Oh boy.
So, yeah. Well, it's rare. That's why.
Yeah. So can you go ahead, Mike?
I said, well, and the reason that sometimes it's called an MP-44 and then a Stormgewehr 44. I mean, the story on that was when Hitler was dead set against an intermediate cartridge, and so to develop this rifle, I guess he wasn't really paying much attention, but they called it a machine pistol.
Yeah.
So they thought they were developing another submachine gun, and he was actually pretty pissed when they came out with it. But they said his bodyguard units pretty much demonstrated the effectiveness of this this new gun. Then that's when it became the Stormgewehr. But but he was kind of dead set against the intermediate cartridge for a while.
Yeah, and he didn't like suppressors because he thought they weren't. Well, how do you use what word do I want to use? Not manly, but they weren't.
They took away some of the savagery or something.
It's for people that sneak around, or It's,
okay.
I don't want the word underhanded because I think he knew what underhanded was.
Yeah, this was Hitler.
Yeah, Hitler didn't, because they weren't like. Yeah, he didn't think much of suppressors. Unfortunately for us.
Okay. Yeah.
And luckily, like Mike said, the Germans had so many different guns under development, and so many secret projects, and so many. Luckily for us, they didn't focus on the MP-44 earlier. We would have had a hard time. Like they didn't focus on the jet aircraft early enough either. We would have had a really, really hard time. They did the same thing with armor. They had Tiger tanks and Panther tanks and super tanks and every other kind of super weapon project going on, instead of focusing like we did on one or two different.
No parts interchangeability was a lot of the problem too.
Yeah, that's with the FG-42. There were so many little variants that were out in the field that they had problems with that too, getting replacement parts, because it was under development while it was being put out in the field. So, yeah.
Okay. So if someone was looking at this and they're not into Milsurp stuff, they're not even sure what it is, where would you guys recommend that they start? Like, what should they?
Right now, I mean, if depending on what price point you're willing to get into, but right now, the thing I'd say to buy right now are Swiss rifles, because you can still get those for plus or minus $500, and those are slowly going to run out, and I think the value on those are going to shoot way up. They're very well made rifles. Like a K31 in 2015 dollars cost $1,800 each for them to produce. It's so well made. The K11, I think was even more than that. So you can get Swiss rifles for, we mentioned did we mention it on air or off air? I don't know if you can mention the website or not. But
you can if there's a website you want to talk about.
Just we were talking about classic firearms.
Okay.
Sometimes
I think that was off air.
They have Swiss rifles on there that you like the 9611 you can get for $450. That's where I'd suggest that you get right now, because that's something that's going to go way up in the next 5 or 10 years, I believe. But if you don't have that much money, you can still get Turk Mausers pretty cheap. You can get Chinese SKSs for $350. They're beat all to hell, but you can still get them for $350. You can get Mosins. If you look around, you can still get them for $250. But you got to look pretty hard to get get it for that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you say to that, Walt?
No, he's on the Swiss, the Smith and Rubin rifles. Those are pretty. I've had them. I have one, but that's a story. One of those. We bought one of those. I remember back in the day, my dad bought one like at Woolco, which used to be a department store for you young guys that don't remember Woolco. And I think he paid $25 for it, and then we sporterized it. So, and that thing would shoot the flea off a dog's ass. That thing was a seriously accurate gun, without a doubt. I mean, but even those are super cool guns, just the way they work. Straight pull action, built like a Swiss watch. Yeah, they're made in Switzerland. Look at that. And just cool guns. And a little bonus in case if you buy a Smith and Rubin rifle, and if you take the butt plate off the back,
little tag.
A lot of times there's a tag in there of the name of the person who had it as a reservist.
Okay.
And so I've heard of people. Mine had the tag.
The one that I have does, and suppose I've heard of people actually contacting these people over in Switzerland. So,
how what's the price of those usually? Those on the higher end, or
they're running for something now.
They're 500. They're 500 plus or minus, basically.
Okay.
Like a K31 running you 500, you can still get an 8611, or I'm sorry, a 9611 for 450.
And that's a Swiss-made gun, and it's coming in Milsurp from the Swiss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll have like different stickers on them because after they were surplus, or like the person who had it could buy them, a lot of them got used in shooting competitions, so a lot of them had different stickers on them. My K31 had a sticker on it, and I was wondering what shooting competition or whatever it is, and it ended up being one of the. It's just the flag, one of the cantons, which is basically a Swiss state on there. But like, the people who had them would put weird crap on them, and I don't know if you know this. One place I kind of keep an eye on is this Bull Moose Firearms, and they had a few Smith Rubins, and one of them was totally painted pink, and I imagine it's probably actually done over in Switzerland. There was a lot of civilian use with them also before they came over here.
Oh, okay. So how is that happening? And so people are just selling them in Switzerland, or what's the deal? Like, how are we getting those Milsurp here from Switzerland?
I think just the way the Swiss. Walt probably knows.
They sell them off to people at companies like Century Arms and Numerich Arms and these other arms surplus type people. They have buyers out in the world that are always looking for what's coming up. Inner ordnance, because that's stuff that came in from Ethiopia, and sometimes it takes years to make the deal, but they're always looking to make deals and bring stuff, import stuff.
Yeah.
So
well, what I was wondering is how are we seeing like ones that are being used by civilians over there winding up in the military surplus? Is that
like the Swiss reserve system, like basically every male I think is in reserve, and up until recently, I'm not sure what it is right now, but up until recently, you kept your rifle in your closet or whatever with enough ammo.
But it belonged to the government. It wasn't like necessarily yours.
But I think once you were done, you could possibly buy your rifle. So that's how, like, a lot of them ended up in civilian hands over in Switzerland. So, they were using shooting competitions and all that. So you find a lot of little personal touches added to them besides maybe the troop tag.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Let me try to get to a couple of comments here real quick. You guys can feel free to jump into whatever you want to. I'll just mediate. Tony Lawrence says, I had a real German Luger in the early 70s, and like a moron, I sold it. So,
it happens.
Yeah.
What's a real German Luger these days?
Well, depending on condition, they'd probably start about $800.
Oh.
Yeah, and the thing about Lugers, they're real picky with ammo, and if you want to shoot them, they best to get numbers matching. So,
yeah.
If you get a mismatched one, if you get a mismatched one, it could probably run about $800. If you get I think the lowest matching ones anymore are around $1,200 to $1,500, maybe.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I know Walter has like a ghettoized one.
a friend of mine brought me over a Luger that was probably somebody brought it back. Maybe, who knows? It's 1918 Luger, but it looks like it's ended up in the ghetto or someplace, and had duct tape. It had electrical tape wrapped around the grips for grips. It was rusted on one side more than the other, so that means it was sitting someplace where it was damp on one side. It was all red and rusty, so basically, but the bore was good, so I just basically Parkerized it, replaced all the parts that were missing, and it shoots good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wasn't my son shooting that the other day?
Yeah,
I think so.
it was. Yeah, the ghetto Luger runs good, man. It eats anything to stick in it.
Let me see if I have. I never threw that video up. I probably have it on my phone, or it's on someone's phone somewhere in the ether out there. Daniel God is my judge says, would a M1 carbine Rocola be a good gun to have?
Yes.
If you can afford it.
Yes. Yeah, I have. It's not totally matching. I do have one. I have a Rocola with a. I mean, I think it has a different barrel on it, but yeah, Rocola M1s are pretty desirable.
Okay. What are they going for? What's the what kind of prices are we getting on those out there?
M1 carbines are $1,000 up, basically. Like I think Inland, I think that's General Motors pretty much. That was probably the most made one. Rocola was a jukebox company, and those are pretty well made. So, like I said, you just got to kind of know what to look for. I mean, but M1 carbine is pretty much $1,000 up. So that's what I've been seeing anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta and stay away from the commercial ones if you don't know what you're looking at, because a lot of the commercial ones that were made by various companies are the essence of the abbreviation POS. So, I mean, some are really bad, and some of them are acceptable, but some are really bad. So, if you don't know what you're looking at, don't get schnookered into the $1,000 aftermarket M1 Garand, because they're not worth it. So I mean M1 carbine. Excuse me.
M1 carbine. Okay. By the way, let me throw this footage up here for you guys real quick. Let me see. I think this is gonna probably go into slow mo here, but there's my son right there shooting the Luger. See, he just kicked into slow mo mode. Pull the trigger, kick, bam. There you go.
Boom.
Yeah. You guys think my hair is crazy. My progenies have even crazier hair than I do. But, hey, I think that one runs in the family. So there you go. That's him shooting what Walter calls the ghetto Luger. The ghetto Luger. Girth Brooks says Walter's got like 3 Lugers within arm's reach. He's got too many stuff. He's gonna have to move out of that office to do this, because there's too much temptation to grab stuff in that.
No, I'm like, everywhere I look, there's something.
I just saw that look on his face. I was like, oh, please don't do it right now.
Don't do it. Don't reach. Don't do it.
Nothing within arm's reach to. I know about that rule that YouTube has.
Yeah, but we're talking about Walter here. Walter is.
All right.
Oh boy.
This is only a wooden stock. Wooden stock.
All right.
Metal. Remember that when I pulled out this stock and they turned off the.
Yeah.
They turned off the channel. Yeah, this is a wooden stock for you YouTube minders. See?
Yeah.
Peekaboo.
There you go. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. But yeah. So let's see. Let me see. Do I have any other questions? Someone else had a shout out to CRU Royalty Foundation. There you go. Shout out. CRU. I think it's Realty. I guess I just read royalty. Shout out to those guys. Thanks for coming in here. I see Florida Guns out there as well. Florida Gun says Tokarevs are $220 right now. Tokarevs. That'd be something good to buy too. Especially if you can get a Romanian or Polish one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've got those goofy safeties added to them.
Yeah.
Which I back in the day when they sold Chinese ones, I get. As a matter of fact, I think it was Classic Firearms. they would sell ones that weren't working. There were gunsmith specials. I mean, Century Arms, maybe that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were missing parts and pieces. And back in those days, the Chinese added safety was more dangerous to have than not to have, because it would just flip. It would just flip on and off. So I bought one of those guns, and we basically welded up took the safety out, welded the hole up, and turned it back to the way it should be. It just has a half cock safety. It doesn't have an actual slide safety or anything like that. So,
okay.
But yeah, that's a good shooting gun too. So
yeah.
And I have the TT. I have two TT-33s. One, I think it was a bring back. Doesn't even have any import mark on it. Then there's another one. It looked like somebody once had a safety in it, so I actually need to figure out how to make that work. Either put something in there or cover it up, because it doesn't quite work properly. And then I have one of those remaining ones, so if I want to go shoot a Tokarov, I'm gonna take the remaining one out, even though it has a safety. It's the best shooting one. It's been refurbished, probably been used the least amount.
Mm. Yeah, Eric Hammond says he picked up a Yugo with no safety.
They brought some Yugos in with trigger safeties. So the trigger safety kind of works like a Glock safety, where it just, until you squeeze down on this little lever on the trigger, it doesn't go off. But what you can do is just replace the safety with a regular trigger, and you've got your non-altered Tokarev. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Let me get this question in. CRU says, I just got a used 30-06 Woodstock waiting on Nick's NCIC. He says he always gets delayed. And what's the first thing you guys would recommend for it? Who wants to
Scope.
I mean, a Springfield? I mean, you got
He's a Ruger 30-06.
Oh.
Decent scope, and you have a deer hunting rifle for life.
Yeah.
There you go. Scope.
I guess it all depends what you want to do. Yeah, I mean, that and a sling.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't. A sling, Walter? Really? Going there with the sling?
If you're going to tote it.
I mean,
sure.
I mean, when I deer hunt, I mean, it's about a half-mile walk from the truck to the stand for me. So I mean, sling is nice on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always a good thing. And let's see, Carcane, this is a little bit off topic here, but we'll get to it. Carcane says, y'all hear about Oklahoma yet? Half of it's going back to the Indians. I don't know if it's going back to the Indians.
It ain't going back to the Indians.
I think there was a guy that got, so I don't have that news right in front of me, but I think the Supreme Court made a decision. There was a guy, I think, that got convicted of rape or something like that, but claimed that territory where he did it in has nothing to do with the U.S., so he was tried under U.S. laws when it's not, and the Supreme Court agreed with that. So there you go.
Oh dear.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about that. I don't know if I want to live in that half of Oklahoma.
Well,
but
could go back like the old days where you just.
No, Walt, don't say it. Don't say it. Yeah. So I don't really. Other than I did see that headline and I read into it a little bit. I don't really know what's going on with that and the territory and what. I forgot the name of the tribe. I think that territory, I guess, is theirs, or there's an old thing out there. So I'm guessing there'll be some new casinos popping up. Yeah, new casinos popping up over there. So, let's see what else. If there's any other things out there. Okay, let's get back to the military surplus stuff here.
Yeah.
What else do you guys think folks should know? Let me take a look at Mike's channel here. What's been a really popular video on your channel, Mike?
Well, actually, sadly, this year the most popular video that 20,000 views is good for me, but my biggest video this year was the Glock 44 when I first got it, and I think I kind of put a clickbaity title on there.
Oh, really?
The Glock 44 did it blow up because I mean I had a bunch of malfunctions with it, but this is when when they first came out, people were talking about crack slides, and when I take it out, I still examine it really well, during and after because I don't want to backslide. But basically, I came up to the conclusion that it's a great training tool because you clear a lot of malfunctions and you can do that quickly.
Oh,
but
I see.
But I mean, this year really the only Milsurps that I've done this year have been I did the SVT. I actually did a couple Mosin videos this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I kind of got into a.
I'm running in some video of your Glock video, by the way. So.
Mm-hmm. But I wanted to start with the Mosin video because I think I'm ready to finally do an AK video, but I know that that's going to take longer. So to tell the story, I've kind of started with the Russians with I finally did the Mosin videos this year. I did a Tokarev video here recently. I probably have an SKS coming out this weekend. The history of, kind of give Semenov side. Again, and give Tokarev side in the Tokarev video. So, but.
So which Mosin video did you want to take a look at? Let's see. I see you got a bunch of them here.
I just had two Mosins. I had two Mosins. I started out with the basically the story of the 3-line, the original 1891, and then I kind of put the 9130, the M44, the PU sniper, and the M38. I kind of put those all in one video, and then I'm done for Mosins for a while. I might eventually do something on fins, but right now I only have one fin Mosin. So, but those are a lot higher quality and different stories to it.
Okay, I'm rolling this in. I see your intros get pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah,
I'll let the folks go check out the intro.
Stupid skit before.
Yeah, yeah. I'll let you all go check out the channel and see that. I skipped through it a little bit here, but yeah, this looks like cool stuff on here. How often do you put up videos on your channel?
A lot of it depends if I can go out and get shooting footage. I like to get them up on Sunday night just because it seems like it's the best time for me to drop them. I try to do one once a week, but it doesn't always follow that. And like if I can't get out and go shooting, sometimes there may be sometimes it happens in the winter quite a bit. There may be a month, but I really try to get something out once a week.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Len Holt says, by the way, on that on what we were talking about with Oklahoma. Let me see if I can get his thing up here. He says it became more about holding the U.S. government accountable to prior treaties. So, yeah, I don't know. Supreme Court's a whole crazy thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's okay, never mind. Let's talk guns.
Yeah. We can talk about whatever we want to. We can talk about whatever we want.
The Indians violated just as many treaties as we did. So, case closed.
Yeah. To me, the Supreme Court is like, I don't know. It's weird stuff going on. I saw that was it Roberts had some kind of head injury? I believe that.
Oh yeah. You never heard about that,
injury. No, we didn't hear about it until after.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
So what happened? What would happen? Well, who's dead? Who's really dead in the Supreme Court? And you don't know yet.
I don't know. I don't know. But I know he doesn't want to take up any 2A cases.
Well, I think that. Well, I was shocked that Kavanaugh was one of them that wanted to take up 2A cases last time because to me, he's almost the worst justice. Like I think Trump will go down putting the best justice and the worst justice on eventually. Because I like Gorsuch because Gorsuch is kind of a constitutional originalist. Like he's good for all the amendments because even the liberal justices are good on the Fourth Amendment. Like I think Sotomayor, she's garbage when it comes to the Second Amendment, but she's pretty good on Fourth Amendment cases and trying to get rid of things like civil asset forfeiture without conviction. But and I kind of like Gorsuch on that. Plus he's good on the Second Amendment. Kavanaugh, I think, is the worst of all worlds. I mean, the guy wrote parts of the Patriot Act, and he's, I don't know, just some of the conversations between him and Lindsey Graham while they were trying to confirm him, that was kind of scary. Where they were talking about where they could, not give an American his constitutional rights. I mean, that that's a scary conversation between a sitting U.S. senator and somebody trying to be on the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Len Holt says talk guns. So yes, we're sticking to guns here. We're talking about this is good. We're talking about the 2A Supreme Court. If we're talking about the 2A is good. If we're going to talk about guns. By the way, everyone out there, smash the thumbs ups right now. We'd appreciate it, and we'll keep talking guns if you smash it. I think you know what? It's always a weird process. The whole confirmation process is weird, and it's very difficult to tell. Yeah, it's very difficult to tell what they're going to do. I mean, Roberts, I don't really think that guy's conservative, but that could be, you know.
True or false, he's appointed all the FISA judges.
Yeah.
Correct?
But this is not how they made it out during the confirmation, though, right?
See how that's all went, right? The FISA judges all signed the illegal warrants? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, something weird going on here. So,
why do we have to have secret courts?
We shouldn't.
Yeah, FISA needs to go away. Department of Homeland Security needs to go away.
Lots of stuff, man. ATF needs to go away. TSA, absolutely. Yeah.
TSA is part of the Homeland Security. I think just get rid of that whole department.
Yeah, whole Homeland Security thing should be gone.
Yeah. Anyways, you ever own an East German Makarov?
I have a Russian Makarov, but I have a Russian Makarov, and then the only other thing that's close is the Polish P64. But a lot of times people kind of say that's closer to
that's not a Makarov though. That's just Makarov.
That's closer to the Walther.
Yeah,
I had a Russian Makarov.
Okay. Yeah, because back in the day when the Walthers came down, the East German ones were everywhere, and then the Russians ones were everywhere, and then you go into all the other ones. I even had a Chinese Makarov. They imported Chinese Makarovs. I sold that. And then you go a Bulgarian. Bulgarian guns are nice.
Yes, Bulgarians are nice.
High quality guns. But yeah, the East German one's the best though.
My Russian, my Russian was a military one from 1983. So I'm like, it's actually weird to have a Milsurp that's younger than me. So
So first of all, let me get this in. Tex I Can says at Milsurp Mike channel. Good to see you here. Boom. There you go. Good to have him here also. Let's see. I'm gonna ask this question right now. What kind of Milsurp bullpups do we have access to?
0.
That's travesty. That's a travesty of justice. Well,
first thing you can thank your politicians, because you would have FAMASs here if you had.
Yeah.
If they weren't banned, the Israelis aren't gonna. You're not going to get anything out of Israel because current issue.
Yeah, but this is not a crazy question, right? It's not a crazy question. Bullpups have been around since the 50s.
That same.
Not as an issue rifle though.
I don't know if you know about Ian McCollum's book, the Shaspa of the FAMAS, but I guess the publisher, Headstamp Publishing, that he came up with, they have somebody writing a book about, I think, British military bullpups. And I think they had them back into the 19th century, like the Thorny Brook, but I don't know much about those. And it'll be a year before that, book's ever in anybody's hands. I'm actually going to probably order that book.
You had the EM1 and the EM2. Those were but once again, Hank, no military adopted bullpup except for the French. And that wasn't till probably the late 70s.
And this is why the world is suffering right now. This is why we have COVID-19 destroying the face of the planet.
COVID-19.
Because they refuse to get.
Isn't the British L85? Isn't that a bullpup?
Yes, it is. But yeah, I guess we'll call it that. Yeah.
Emma says Steyr AUG is the only one I think. Qualify for Curios and Relic. Not sure though. No, Curios and Relic has to be 100 years, right?
No, it's a rolling 60, isn't it?
It's 60?
Something like that.
Oh, I don't think is the Steyr AUG that old?
Or it has to be collectible, where say the early Colt rifles and stuff. Some of those guns were on the Kieran Rog's list, and they weren't.
Oh.
It can be a gun can be put on the list if
I think the country can no longer. This is where I hear things in the curio and relic. I think the country can no longer exist. So like, a gun from the USSR, I think can be put on there. That's why I have a Makarov that's younger than me. Or like, something East German, you get that because, East Germany technically no longer exists. So I think that can be added, but in general, it's a rolling 60 years, and then the antique is anything 1898 or older. The antique's the one where you can get, you don't need any kind of FFL. You can just have it sent directly to your home.
Okay, so does that mean we can get anything that was the USSR? Well, that Russia still exists, but I guess they changing the names not technically.
Not everything is on the CNR list. Not everything.
No.
Yeah. So listen, there's only one reason why I brought up the bullpup thing, just to segue you guys into what I saw on the firearms blog. Yes, Walter, I'm going to throw this up here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is on the firearms blog. I sent this to Walter, and he thought this was the most beautiful thing he's seen all day.
Lie.
Belt-fed, belt-fed bullpup lever action rifle chambered in .44 Magnum. I think this is cool. Think about this, man. Lever action bullpup, .44 Magnum. Check this bad boy out. The title of this article probably sounds like clickbait, and the gun in the image above looks more like a sci-fi movie prop. However, this is a real functional firearm, and the title precisely describes what it is: a belt-fed bullpup lever action rifle chambered in .44 Magnum. There's a lot of awesome in that. I know you agree, right, Milsurp Mike? You agree with me.
It's a gun. I don't know what. I actually don't know what to think. Part of me likes it, but part of me is appalled.
Yeah. So it comes from a Ruger 96 44, and I guess you take it apart, and then here's it drops like this article is going through a whole bunch of things, I guess, on how you make this and how you put it together. I think this is awesome, but Walter is just not down. Here's the links.
And the worst part about it, they have a frickin' Harris bipod on the front. I mean, that is about the fuddest bipod. The Harris bipod, that's about the fuddiest bipod you can buy.
This is cool. Okay, let's just find out from the people in the audience. You guys want gun stuff. I just gave you some gun stuff. Let me know. What do you think? Cool or not cool? Just put that in the chat. Cool or not cool?
Part of it rings of the bullpup kit that you can get for the SKS, which is, as Walter says, kind of a fuddiest pud thing. But I don't know.
I'd rather have that before this.
Really? Yeah, Walter doesn't like this. Does not like this. Cool or
It's
not cool, guys? Tell us right now. Cool or not cool? And smash the thumbs up.
I never really got that Mossberg tactical. That Mossberg tactical lever action. I never really got that.
Bullpup Unlimited.
They just take the regular lever action and throw a Picatinny rail in the front. And a collapsible stock in the back. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I just think. Well, first of all, I think this is lever action because it's England, right?
That's what I read.
That's what I did read. It's a couple
sometimes
things.
you got to work within the rules.
They're trying. Come on now.
What happens when that company goes out of business and you can't get that link anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. And CRU says, I'm a lefty. That would be an obstacle for me. So, Tex I Can says, Hank, no. Oh my God, you guys are. Len Holt says, is it integrally suppressed? All right, fine.
I would rather, if you're going to go lever action, just take a regular lever action and thread the barrel on the end and put a can on the end. There you go. You're all tactical up. You're ready to go.
Right. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. You know who sent me? You know who sent me that? Walter? Richard Hoffman. Richard Hoffman from BWE.
I was gonna say Brandon Herrera sent it to you.
No, not Brandon Herrera. No, he doesn't. If I send him something like that, he will stop talking to me.
Well, I mean, if it's something to kind of get around rules in a country, I could see that. Because I mean, that's how we have AK shotguns. I think is because in Russia to own a rifle, you have to own a smoothbore for 5 years. So I think that's how you got that's how we have the Veprs.
Yeah.
The Russian. So I mean, that could be something like that if that is made in England.
Shooting Gallery NE, he's on my side. He says, I'm all about this. By the way, I am ashamed of you guys as gun guys. You're coming down on a belt fed. For shame. Shame on you. You should be...
Don't go... Da, 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 da. It just goes... boom. Boom. Yeah.
What are you trying to say? What does that mean? Are you trying to say that doesn't make any sense?
I'm spoiled. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Listen, you could crank that really fast, man. Come on now.
Oh, it looks like a really fast design. That's
that does, like, think if you could have a lever action with a detachable magazine, because, I mean, most lever actions are two magazines, and the balance point changes with every shot. So
yeah. And Ledholt says, "Is that the gun you're gonna send me for the 600th show?" Wow. No. And Kentucky Guns and Radio says Hank needs one of those new integrally suppressed 12 gauge shotguns. Oh, I saw those. They're not sexy enough. They're not. Those aren't sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've still got your can, the Silencio can, right?
Yep.
For the 12 gauge, that works pretty well.
Yeah, we shot that on we shot that on your Keg 12.
Keg 12.
Yeah. There's a video we have up of that. I also shot that on some. Oh, I shot that on a KSG.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. I need to get that up on my Saiga, but someone's got to take care of business.
It's work in progress.
I need to get a suppressor.
You don't have any suppressors?
I don't own any. Well, one, I just moved across state lines a couple years ago, so... Yeah,
what state are you in again?
Well, I lived in Kansas, and I just moved across... I lived, basically right on the border, so I just moved to Missouri.
Oh, Missouri.
So actually, when I was getting a bunch of overtime a couple years ago, I'm like, well, crap, I'm going to be moving to Missouri by the time that this paperwork will be coming in. And I don't know, I've just never really made it to buy it, because, one, I think you guys talked about it a little bit last night. I caught a little bit of the show. I mean, part of it was I thought that bill would pass, and it never did. So I kind of held off then.
Walter's enjoying that one.
I knew I was gonna move, so I'd have to go through a bunch more, paperwork and stuff just because I was moving across the state line. So, now maybe I should look into getting one, but no, I don't own any suppressors yet.
Yeah, and by the way, he's talking about last night we had on Knox and Owen from the American Suppressor Association. They were cool. They came on. They answered a lot of questions. We talked about a lot of stuff, including the Hearing Protection Act. A lot of things happened there. I was trying to, because to me, in my mind, that thing, the whole idea of that, I think it's good what they were doing, and I supported that. I wanted to see that happen, but I think a lot of people got that twisted and then stopped buying things, and conversely, the market fell apart, and a lot of companies laid off people and all that. But those guys were saying that they were still selling cans. So I don't know. I think there was a period there where nothing was getting sold. But those guys, I guess, would know better than me. Although I just remember living through those times, and people stopped. Like what you just said, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not going to buy anything right now. It's going to come off the NFA."
Well, and usually I had some Milsurp too. I'm like, oh, I'm going to put my money into this instead.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I need to look into getting one, because I mean I have a couple 9mm or threaded barrels, and a couple. I actually have that Colt M45A1, so I'd like to get something for that too.
How much Milsurp stuff can you? Well, I guess you could thread anything, right?
Well,
but you don't thread a K98 Mauser that's worth money. You just don't.
Yeah.
That's just no.
But I got plenty of modern guns too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I know that. What was that gun that I saw that Iraq veteran? Was that a Mosin? There was like this gun that Iraq veteran. I think he chopped it down, painted it green, put a can on it.
Okay.
Wasn't that a Mosin?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it was a Mosin.
You gotta remember that I have a gun that I've cut the barrel down, a Mosin. I cut the barrel down to 13, added a brake, welded it on. It's legal length. That was a $49 gun when I did that. That was a $49 Romanian surplus POS.
Right.
I mean, it had no finish or anything on it, and they were everywhere, so it wasn't a big deal.
Right, because I think Eric's thing was called the ugly. Wasn't it called the ugly Mosin or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that. I remember shooting. I remember shooting that gun.
Was he trying to do an Alberts with it? Because I think like Brandon Herrera, he didn't put a can on it, but like Brandon Herrera just did an Alberts Mosin too. Which,
I see the folks out there are saying that it was a Mosin. M. Moss says it was a Mosin. James Miller says, yes, Hank, it was a Mosin. Appalachian Gunrunner says, ugly Mosin, he calls it. Okay, yeah, ugly Mosin. Yeah.
I took a Turkish Mauser and did the same thing. I cut it, and it was a fugly gun to start with. And I cut it down to just enough, welded a brake on, made it legal length. That thing's sweet to shoot. The Mosin, when you fire the Mosin with that little barrel and the muzzle brake, it goes, did the gun go off? Boom! Because there's no recoil. There's a hell of a fireball, but there's hardly any recoil because the barrel's so short.
Yeah, so you're saying we can't chop up like a Sturmgewehr?
Well, you can chop off whatever the hell you want if you can afford it. I'm not going to stop you.
But, yeah, just be prepared for some blowback from
people get mad over everything. So whatever.
People they get all bent out of shape if you look at them wrong.
People get mad about everything. They get mad about everything. I remember I did a video and we crushed a Mazda RX-7 in the video.
I would have done the same thing, wouldn't you?
Well, it wasn't my choice. First of all, look, I like a Mazda RX-7, right? I'm not knocking it.
I just see that body. I see it. You can build something with that body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, but it was their choice to crush that car when I was doing it. Whatever car they crushed, people would be mad.
Well, you're in the Fort Scott.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're in the Fort Scott Munitions. Were you there when? Were you one of the vehicles they blew up?
The vehicle. Yeah, the vehicle that I blew up with the Tannerite, I think was a Toyota. It was some kind of Toyota truck.
Okay.
I have to go back and look. I believe it was a Toyota. It was like a pickup truck. So
I actually went to high school in Fort Scott. So the funny thing about that was a few years ago, my sister told me that there's an ammo company starting up in Fort Scott. So I'm picturing some guy in his garage with a Dillon press, and I'm like, oh, this is a full blown.
Yeah. No, so yeah, that place is really nice. It's really big. They've got like one of the old brick buildings over there. I'm not sure what it used to be, but it's a massive building.
Used to be a cement plant, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they've got a gun store in there, all kinds of stuff. They won't let me see
giant alligator.
Yeah, they got a massive alligator that they caught here in Florida, but they wouldn't let me see them making the actual ammunition. But that place is it's huge. It's huge, really big, very big. But yeah, I think I liked it out there, man. It was nice. Everyone out there was really nice to me. You know, even when we blew up the Tannerite and set the whole town off, you know, they were still nice. I went out to dinner.
I put on Facebook nice. Like, what happened?
Yeah, I saw it was all over their Facebook. The town Facebook was like, "There's some guy, Hank Strange, here blowing up Tannerite." So yeah, that was cool. What is this? Yes, Lola just sent me the link actually to that video. Let's see if we could pull that up and show it. It's probably a longer video here. Let me see. I'll try to pull it up and find what's the part of it to show. So Lola says a question that she wants to know: do's and don'ts when it comes to Milsurp guns. I'm guessing a don't is don't chop it up unless it's just really cheap. That's what you guys are trying to say? Don't chop it up.
Right now they're a diminishing supply that, really, when people buy sporterized Milsurps, they try to actually put them back into military configuration. Yeah, you don't want to chop them up, reblow them. I mean, if it's actually, unless it's like absolute garbage and you're like making it usable again. But yeah, you try to keep it as original as possible because Milsurps are a diminishing supply, thanks to basically thanks to the 68 GCA. I mean, you can't have, when everything started getting select fire and full auto, there's no Milsurps being put out there anymore. So, you try to just keep them since it's history. I mean,
yeah. What do you feel about that on that one, Walter?
Well, I wouldn't spend $450 or $500 on some surplus rifle and then chop the barrel off. Like I said before, when I did those that I did, they were dirt cheap.
Dime a dozen, yeah. Well, and also,
Go ahead.
Also, like a lot of sporter, like a lot of them that were sporterized way back when. I mean, were done by the guys who actually fought in the war, so I have no problem with that because I mean they were just trying to make it look like a civilian rifle to go hunting with, or they're kind of sick of the war, sick of military stuff. So I mean, I have no problem with the guys who actually fought with that type of rifle doing it. But like now, if you buy one and sporterize it, yeah, that's the devil's work.
Yeah, well, we got to remember when those guys bought those guns, they were in a barrel for $10 or $15.
Yeah.
So and a brand new Remington was maybe $45, $50. So if you wanted to go hunting, you bought yourself a military surplus gun and you threw some, you cut the barrel off or you sporterized the stock and you put a scope on it and boom, you were hunting. So
it's something that some guys like to do. Like they bring home an Arasaka because I mean a bunch of guys bring home an Arasaka from excuse me that were on the Pacific Theater, and some guys would like chamber them in something like 257 Roberts, and that's a damn good hunting rifle. You do that. So
back in the old days, or not old days, at one point they did a test where they tested Mausers, Arasakas, and all the military surplus bolt actions, and they found out that the Arasaka action was one of the strongest actions around, even stronger than the Mauser action. So even though they're kind of fugly looking, depending on when you get your Arasaka, and I kind of like the late war stuff because I like things that you can tell was in a panic where they use staples to nail the stock together, and you can tell that it was last ditch. Which is cool. I think I have 3 Arasaka.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a last ditch gun, but I think I have 3 Arasakas if I'm not mistaken. So when I see somebody, I do military vehicles too also, Mike. So sometimes at the military vehicle rallies, guys will show up with military surplus guns. And what do you want for the Jap gun? How about $200? I'm in. Boom. So you end up with them after a while because the Japanese rifles collectability has picked up, but it's nothing like a Mauser 98 or stuff like that because people don't know what it is for the most part. A lot of people don't.
Well, Arasakas have. I mean, when I first got into it, you can get an Arasaka for under $200, even 10 years ago. But now it seems like they're $300 or $400 or even $500 now, especially if they have an unmolested mum on them.
Yeah, or they have the anti-aircraft sight on it, or somebody has
the monopod.
Right, which is hard to find. Yeah. I used to have some. I had a couple of them. I don't have them anymore, unfortunately. A couple.
While you guys are kicking it here, I'm gonna actually roll in this video of me shooting in Fort Scott. I just found that video, so I'm just gonna roll that in real quick here. I don't know if you got a chance to see this video, Mike, but this is pretty brilliant and awesome of me just to show you how far out. I forgot, what was it, like it was over 600 yards, I guess. I'm trying to remember exactly how far it was. I probably put it somewhere here in the video. There's the pickup truck. No, I don't think is that a Toyota? I don't know. So check it out. Here we go. These guys are wondering if I'm going to hit it in one shot right now. This is all the Fort Scott guys. I don't know if you know any of these dudes in here, if you can even see this. So here's me telling them I'm going to do this the first shot. Don't worry about it. No, actually not. Actually not. Let me see. I could probably scrub this forward a little bit just so you guys could see.
How many pounds do they have? Was it like 200 pounds of tannerite?
I think it was at least like, I'm going to say 130, 150. And I'm shooting 6.5 Creedmoor.
Because I mean, I've shot 2 pounds from 75 yards away, and I feel the shockwave from that. So I can't imagine what that much
Oh, it was
tannerite
a
would
real.
be.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Let's see here. I'm gonna skip forward a little bit to. Okay, here it goes. I found it. Okay, here we go. This is where it's gonna happen right here. So it looks like it's a Ruger. Here we go. Got the GoPro on. Settling in. Doing deep breaths right now. Actually, I really enjoy shooting from long distance. It's fun. Let's see. Here we go. This is gonna be. You're gonna get to see my reaction here. Come on, pull the trigger.
I'm behind you.
Boom, there we go. So it's weird, right? Like looking down the scope, I saw that thing go off before I heard it, obviously, right? And then here's like all the different, they had a drone up in the sky. You know, there was stuff raining down all over the place. Yeah.
I remember watching. They had a lot of cameras out there.
Yeah, that truck was wrecked. I think it was a Toyota. Hold on, let me see. I could probably skip forward here a little bit. I mean, this truck was just wrecked after this thing. If you take a look at it here, looks like it drove over an IED or something like that. So
That is a Chevrolet.
is it a Chevy?
I'm
I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I thought I saw a step side Chevy, but maybe
you
I'm
did?
wrong.
Okay.
I remember when that video came out. I thought it was a Toyota, but I could be wrong too.
Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Somewhere in my mind, because I think I have a hubcap or something from this. From this thing. Someone's ID was in there. It's a lot of craziness. Yeah, that was crazy. That was fun. Yeah. Disturbing the peace in Fort Scott, Kansas.
Well, I mean, I know they called up the sheriffs and everything, but man, I remember, like I said, I remember a bunch of friends from Facebook talking about a big boom that day, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's just Fort Scott munitions."
Yeah, they told me it was no big deal. They were like, "Oh, we do this all the time," and I think they called the sheriff's department, but
yeah, they let the sheriff's department know.
Yeah, kids were in school. There was all kinds of stuff going on with that when that thing happened. Because I remember going out to a diner with them, and everyone coming in there was like, "What's up with you guys? What are you blowing up?" So DCG44 says it was a Toyota T100.
Oh, okay, that's why it kind of
Sounds
looks like
right.
a Chevy.
Yeah. That's real. That's got to be real old school. Probably belonged to one of those guys. So, yeah. Girth Brooks says them boys are having the time of their lives. Yeah, man. I guess in Kansas, what else can you do? Shoot guns, blow stuff up, make babies. What else is there? What's that area famous for?
Fort Scott. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing I guess is the
fort, obviously.
fort. Yeah, that's what people go there for.
Yeah, I went to visit that. It was a little tiny thing.
I mean, apparently it's supposed to be a big deal in the 1840s.
Back in the days, yeah, it was pretty small. We all couldn't get in there to save ourselves from the coronavirus zombie apocalypse.
I think they were more worried about engines back then.
Yeah.
Well, it's named after Winfield Scott, who I think he was a general in the Mexican-American War.
Okay.
So he, I mean, one of the grade schools there is the Winfield Scott grade school. It's named after him, so I'm pretty sure it's named after Winfield Scott.
Mm-hmm.
The fort in the town is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was a cool town, man. I actually enjoyed hanging out there. I'm gonna go back up there. They invited me to a car show there that I couldn't make, but I don't know. Whenever we get back into, man, there's just this shutdown. I've had enough of it, man. We need to get back
the
to doing
election,
stuff.
my friend. You're not listening. After the
Well,
election.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Kansas has a Democrat governor right now, so she's always quick to pull the trigger on shutting everything down.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I know there's lots of stuff. Walter goes to Knob Creek a lot. That's been shut down. I'm sure that's one of the places. We were supposed to be talking about the do's and don'ts of the Milsurp stuff. So go to go ahead, Walt.
My main thing, people fall, and this is any gun, or a car, or girls, as a matter of fact, too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get, how you see something, I gotta have it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I gotta have it. Oh, I gotta have it, and you get blinders come on. Oop.
Yeah.
And you don't see the scratches, you don't see the price tag, you don't see anything, and then sometimes you gotta back off, or you gotta bring somebody along that doesn't care, and go, really, you want that piece of junk? She's a real bitch, what are you doing? Or or whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Somebody can talk sense to you, that looks beyond that infatuation.
Yeah, you're saying don't fall in love with it in the buying process, right?
Yeah, because you can, as soon as you get it, like you buy a car and you get it home and then you crawl underneath and look at it and you go, oh my God, what'd they do?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. You can get a gun, pull the stock off it, and underneath the stock, it's all pitted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well,
something kind of related to what he said too is buy the firearm, not the story.
Right. Oh yeah. This was at Fort Scott. It really was. It was at Fort Scott. Or I always joke. I always use this thing. Oh, that was a little bighorn. And people go, "Oh, it wasn't." I go, "Yeah, you're right, it wasn't." But come on, it's a little bighorn.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, the history and stuff like that is what a lot of the Milsurp guys fall in love with, right? Right or wrong?
Yeah, but a lot of times to try to sell it, you get you don't know whether it's true or not. I mean, the only history that you can make sure of is if it's documented. A lot of times, this Mauser was carried by Rommel or something like that. I mean, you get some weird story or whatever. That they try to jack the price up on it. But I mean, now there are guns that I know that you can tell you stories that I bought just because just kind of the weirdness of them, like my Israeli Mauser. I bought this Israeli Mauser. It started out life as a Gewehr 98 World War One. You can tell it was chopped down into a K98 sometime during World War II. But it has the Waffenbrick Mauser markings on it. It doesn't have the code on it. 1918, and then of course it ended up in Israel somehow because this gun has both Waffenamps and Star of David's on it, which that's kind of a weird thing in itself. And it has the big 7.62 when they converted it to a 7.62 by 51. And the thing about these Mausers is that the Mausers that Israel received after they became a state mostly came from like Czechoslovakia and South America, whereas if they got German ones, those are ones that are probably smuggled there by the Haganah before they became a state. So I mean, if you do your research, I mean, I bought it just because it was Israeli Mauser. It had the Star of David and had Stars of David and Waffenamps on it, which I thought was just weird. But I do some more research, and this rifle can exist, and there's a pretty cool story behind it. And really, the only other one that I have that's really strange like that, I have a Chinese Arasaka that was made, is made in China by a Chinese warlord. It's a Type 38. I guess they went to a new version of the Type 38 like right after World War One. So Japan, this warlord bought a bunch of the machinery, and they actually made some of these Chinese Arasakas. Because when I picked it up and I looked at because the first thing you look for in an Arasaka is the mum. For the mum, well, it didn't look like anything was scrubbed. And
what is that?
The mum is the chrysanthemum. Yes, a chrysanthemum.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
On the receiver, and it basically meant that this was the emperor's property. Well, usually
so that's like a branding mark. Is that engraved or something?
It's like the mark of the it's just the mark of the emperor.
The emperor. Okay.
So what happened, like after the war, one of the things MacArthur, because one of the reasons that we kind of made nice with Japan is MacArthur actually kind of showed the emperor respect and let them keep the emperor. Well, when they were going through these rifles, if you have it totally scrubbed off, because for the Americans to take it home, they'd have to totally scrub it off. So in general, if you've seen a chrysanthemum on there, it was probably picked up off the battlefield. If it's just kind of scratched off, that was kind of something that might have been surrendered by a Japanese soldier. where it wasn't totally ground off.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, going back to my Chinese Arasaka, I could tell that there was nothing ground off, and it looked like Chinese lettering. And so I'm like, oh, this, I'm at the store, so I'm just doing some quick research on this, and I get on there and like seeing Arsenal before they ever became a YouTube channel, they were a website, and they actually wrote an article on these Chinese Arasakas. And I mean, the pictures they had, the writing looked exactly like the Chinese writing that was on the receiver of this. So I did a little more research, and that's just kind of a pretty cool little oddball that can tell a story. So I mean, you can find stories that way, but when you're buying, sorry, I got way off on a tangent there. But when you're buying and somebody gives you a kind of a BS story that this gun was here, or this person owned this gun, unless you have documentation, buy the
Elvis,
firearm, not the story.
who are guns attributed to that it gets like valuable? Like let's say Elvis or something. This was an Elvis gun.
Well, if you ever, I always get these things for the Rock Island auctions, and like, of course, these are documented. Like these engraved Lugers and Walthers, that were like owned by like Hermann Goering or like basically Nazi party officials, or there's others that I think I've seen last time. They had rifles owned by Theodore Roosevelt. They had Theodore Roosevelt's collection, but these were all documented.
Yeah. They have some way of showing.
Owned famous. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got papers or something establishing paper trail or authenticity of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me throw a curve. Now your Chinese Arasaka, it has no import marks, right?
No import marks.
Okay, so let me tell you how let me just throw a theory out. You might have already thought of this theory, how it got here. It probably came back from somebody from Korea.
That's a very good possibility.
The Chinese supplied the Koreans with a lot of Japanese captured weapons that were rechambered for, say, like 7.62-39. They did Bren guns. They did bolt-action rifles in 7.62 by 39. Plus, the Chinese had tons of captured Japanese ammunition too. So that's a very good way the way it could have made it back to the States is some GI brought it back in his box.
Well, I have heard of the ones that were rechambered 7.62 by 39. I think even there might even been some produced in China after the war that were in 7.62-39. But this is a Type 38, so this is actually 6.5 millimeter Japanese. So this was, and that's what these were built. So I'm not sure how it got here, but
well, that's a pretty good way it could have gotten. Somebody could have brought it back from Korea when it was over in Korea. A couple of Knob Creeks ago, I picked up an empty artillery shell because I kind of collect that stuff too. And the person I bought it from wasn't paying attention what he had. So when I flip it over and I look at it, I see Chinese writing on the bottom of it. But it's actually the artillery round was a Japanese gun. Once again, the Chinese were using captured Japanese artillery and making their own ammunition for it. And then when I show it to somebody, he goes, "Oh, you're right. It does have Chinese on the bottom." It's like, oh, you got to look close, And it's like,
does any of that add value? Does any of this stuff add value to it, or this is just like a cool story? Or
I mean, you can have a regular old K98 Mauser. Okay, they're nice, they're cool. If it was imported recently, it's got import stamps on it. That's cool. But the real good ones are the ones that somebody brought back. That have no stamps, no marks.
Yeah.
It's not beat up.
I mean, I see. So Appalachian Gun Runner is saying most of the time, I tell them if it doesn't have papers, it isn't a bring back, just a rule of thumb. And then he goes on to say, I mean, technically, I know that's wrong, but a lot of guys want to tack on a huge price with no really proof.
Well,
okay, if it doesn't have import marks, it means it came into the country a long time ago, before '68, if I'm not mistaken. So it's possible, but hey.
Well, no import marks and a duffel bag cut are a really good indicator that it was brought back. Now I know a duffel bag cut can be faked pretty easy, but not too many people are gonna, intentionally chop up a stock. But
I don't even know what a duffel bag cut would be. What is that?
Basically, like to fit it in their duffel bag, they'd take it apart, but the stock would be too long, so they would just cut it off, and like I have a rifle where they actually kind of glued it back together, but I have a couple rifles with these duffel bag cuts on there. I mean, so
Walter's eating a cookie for anyone who wants to get aggravated by
cookie.
that. Yeah, now is the time to express all your aggravations. Is that oatmeal? Chocolate chip?
Oatmeal. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know it, baby.
Sorry. Okay. My apologies, Mike. Go ahead. Sorry, we cut you off there.
Oh no, I think I was pretty much done because.
Yeah.
But I had. Speaking
ahead.
of battle damage, you were talking about battle damage before, and before we got off on another subject, I used to have 2 Japanese Nambu pistols. One of those pistols had a bullet hole through the holster, and it's the story. The person I got it from said it came from Okinawa. I, like a fool, traded it off to get some money to buy something else that I still have and I never use. And then I think I have a rifle stock somewhere around here that has I can't remember if it's a Japanese one that also has a bullet hole in the stock. So that stuff is cool because that was real. That's the real McCoy. That was picked up off the battlefield. It's got a bullet hole in the stock.
Yeah. I mean, if someone really wanted to, they could, I guess, still just shoot it with something, give it a bullet hole. But
sure.
I mean, how can you tell? I'm just asking. Like, how do you look at that and go, okay, this is something made up, or
people fake collectible guns by putting Waffen stamps on them and all this stuff and distressing the stock, but you gotta know what you're looking at when you buy one of these guns. If you're so jaded that I gotta have this thing, you're gonna buy a fake. I guarantee you're gonna buy a fake eventually, or if it's so. So that's like it's the same thing with medals, like Nazi medals and all this stuff. There's so much fake junk out there. And unless you know what you're really looking at, you can get taken to the cleaner. So
yeah, and they've been faking things for a long time, so patina doesn't tell you anything.
No, hell, over in Eastern Europe and in China and all these places, they know how to patina stuff. Trust me.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stamps that people just stick fake Waffen-offs and fake proof markings.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so one thing I want to hit the folks who are in Florida and Orlando area. I am doing the Libertarian Party convention at the Orange County Convention Center. That's Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. in room W204. And if you guys want to come there and see that, you do have to get a pass for the Libertarian Party convention. It's like $59. And then you'll be able to get into that panel. So I just wanted to let people know. I think before we said there wasn't a thing for that, and then I found out that there was. So I'm just sharing that info.
Was this supposed to happen before, and did they just nominate because of the COVID? Nominate Joe online, or was this always scheduled for now?
No, I think it was scheduled somewhere else before at a different time, and then wherever that place was, which I can't remember right now. They canceled that, and then the party moved it to Orlando. So that's where it's happening. We're in Thursday, so far as I know, that's not canceled. So, so if anyone wants to find out more info on that, it's the Orange County Convention Center, and it's Libertarian Party Convention /GOA. So I'm doing this with the GOA. It's a 2A panel. I think the subject is the 2A for everyone. Is the Second Amendment for everyone. That's the subject. The easy answer to that is hell yes.
Yes.
Yeah, should be. Shout out to Carolina EDC Reviews, by the way.
Yes, it is, and yes, it's and not necessarily everyone. So I'll leave it at that. So.
Yeah. That's that we can get.
That's kind of like some people shouldn't be driving a car. That's the same thought process. So.
Listen, I think the Second Amendment isn't just for even Americans. It should be for everyone over the whole entire planet. Everyone has the right to defend themselves, right?
And everybody does not have the right to drive. So
yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. It's the handling part.
But you have the right to defend yourself. You have the right to defend yourself and defend yourself against a tyrannical government. So.
Once again, I'm not against people being able to do that stuff, but once again, some people, it's like everybody shouldn't have a 50 caliber rifle. and I have experience with that because a lot of people don't.
Right. Everyone shouldn't have babies. Everyone shouldn't get married. Everyone shouldn't
So
do this or that. Yeah, but technically, the Second Amendment is for everyone. Should be for everyone. The biggest problem we have is that, in my opinion, I think that neither one of the parties, not the Republican Party, Democratic Party, or even the Libertarian Party for that matter, really believe that, and that's why we have all these limitations that exist out there. A lot of them coming from Republicans, not just Democrats.
I think the Republicans in general are more dangerous to the Second Amendment than Democrats.
In a lot of cases.
Because they're willing to compromise and get people on board, whereas when a Democrat brings out something crazy and throws it out there, a lot of times a Republican will try to fight that, but a lot of times a Republican won't try to fight another Republican.
Yeah. I think the Republicans are always trying to look traditional.
Nice.
Yeah, nice, or like, hey, we've got to give a little something. It's a weird thing.
No, we
got to give them something. They always have that stupid kind of thing. The whole shall not infringe part means, hey, this is not up for debate. This is not a political thing. Don't mess with this. Right? That's my opinion of what's in the Second Amendment. But politicians obviously are always looking for things to debate stuff and tag on laws and all that. And then one of the weird things is, to be honest with you, I think even amongst libertarians, and we've spoken to some libertarians here on the show. We've had a few on. I think we had Larry Sharp, and then we had who was it? Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of the. Adam Kokesh was also on. I'll be honest with you. When I look at libertarians, I think that they're just giving us lip service, just like Republicans and Democrats, when they say they believe in the Second Amendment. I'm not saying that about Adam Kokesh. I think Adam Kokesh was he seems to me, and I've been keeping my eyes on him, he seems to be like a gun guy. He lost his gun rights, standing up for his gun rights. You can debate how that whole thing went down, but from what I see of him, like where he moved to and what he does looking at his social media things, I believe he's into guns. I think Larry Sharp was cool, but I'm sorry, when I actually talked to him about gun stuff, he kind of like, no, he said he believes in the Second Amendment. Okay, good. And I was like, and he's in New York City, right? So I said,
did the butt come out? But
well, no, he said he believes in the Second Amendment. I said, okay, cool. What guns do you own? He's like, well, I live in New York City. I can't have guns. That's not actually true. I mean, one of my brothers lives in New York City, is a Democrat, voted for Hillary and all that kind of stuff, and he has guns. So what that kind of, I don't know, that kind of said to me like, I don't know if you probably do believe in the Second Amendment, but it's not necessarily something you're into.
From what I've seen, I think Larry Sharp's a stand-up guy, just because I know a lot of the people who supported Austin Peterson in Missouri. Mm-hmm. When he dropped out in 2018, they went and supported Larry Sharp. So and everything I've seen from Larry Sharp, I think he's a stand-up guy. I mean, you don't necessarily. I actually know people who don't own a firearm, but they are very strong, 2A. So I mean.
Well, so I'm not trying to say he's not. I'm not trying to say he's not a stand-up guy. I'm just trying to say to you that I don't look. We could take this from him to. We can move it over to Trump. The NRA told us that Trump was the most gun guy of all the gun guys that was running for president. We got to elect him. He's a gun guy. He's got one pistol. And Trump was in New York City. He had a pistol. This is a gun guy. Now, I don't really believe that. I believe that his son is a gun guy, right? I believe Junior is a gun guy. Trump's the president right now. I'm not going to say that he's all the way down with guns. I mean, we've all seen different things come out, and that doesn't mean that I voted for Trump, right? That doesn't mean that I won't vote for him again. What I'm trying to say is, I think for me, if this is a weird thing. Like what you just said is true. A person doesn't have to own guns and all that to believe in the Second Amendment. But you know what? If you have some understanding, knowledge, and you've actually used these things, I think that that goes a long way in my book. That when those issues come up, you don't negotiate them away so much.
Well, I think Trump's worse than the Democrats. And to me, a lame duck Trump almost scares me more than a Democrat, because I think the two people he listens to the most is his leftist daughter Ivanka and her husband Jared Kushner.
Right.
And they're very leftist. I mean, before the impeachment happened, there was talk that she was secretly talking to Joe Manchin of West Virginia about reviving Manchin Toomey. So that scares, like, when Trump's not beholden to have to try to get reelected, not beholden to his base, that scares the hell out of me. Whereas, a Democrat, like, I almost think it'd be better to get Beto in there, because at least the weird crap that he pops off with gets that actually galvanizes pro-gun people.
So here's the thing I'm trying to say, though. If let's say I know we definitely don't agree on Trump. Walter doesn't agree with what I'm saying.
I'm not doing anything.
Well, Walter, you can jump in. It's cool, man. We're talking about guns.
No, we're not.
I'm sure Walter doesn't agree with.
You're talking about people now. You're not talking about.
We're talking about the politics around it, and the point I'm trying to make to you is this: Larry Sharp came here on the show. I talked to him and everything, right? And then we had Adam Kokesh come here on the show, and I talked to him. I don't know either one of those guys, but I know Kokesh was in the military, used guns. I know he went to D.C., did something. Whether you agree with what he did or not, I don't believe he should have lost his rights to firearms ownership. And when I look at him, I think this guy is still into guns, right? He's still around guns, still shooting guns, and things like that. So if you said to me, okay, we wave a magic wand and a libertarian's going to become president, and I could choose which one I think would actually, when all the things come up that these other guys negotiate things away, which one of these guys would actually stand up for the Second Amendment, I'm probably going to say Kokesh. Now, does that mean that, Kokesh told us the first thing he's going to do is dismantle the government, and dismantle, the presidency and all that kind of stuff. So if you said to me, okay, which one of these guys is going to be more practical as the president, maybe I would say Larry Sharp. But I just have to say to you that I think that people who don't own guns, never have owned guns, don't go shooting and all this kind of stuff, I don't know that they're going to see that as a thing that they're going to stand up for. I feel like they're probably, I would say this, Trump probably has more of a likelihood of standing up for that than someone like Larry Sharp. Okay? Why? Even though Trump has done bad things, I get it. He's done bad things towards the Second Amendment. To me, he has more of a likelihood than standing up than a guy who doesn't own it. And when I asked him about it, said, oh, well, because I'm in New York City. Well, it's just not true. I know for a fact that you could be in New York City and still have guns, and you could be there and you could still go out and shoot guns and do things like that and have a conversation about it. And I just didn't, I'm just telling you, just my feeling as like a gun guy. That was how I felt about that. And he came on the show. He's a friend of Flying Rich and all that kind of stuff. But that's just my feeling, man. Got to go with the feels.
I know. I was actually kind of hoping that if Amos, I was hoping Amos would run, but if he didn't, I was kind of hoping it'd be Larry Sharp. But I don't know. I haven't spoke to the guy. You have, but from everything I've read and seen, and people I know that back him, who are gun people.
Yeah. But do you feel that someone who doesn't own them, do you feel like that person is real? And I believe that Sharp, was he in the military? I believe so, right? Wasn't he a Marine or something like that? But do you really think that someone who doesn't own those things, when it comes down to it, this is ultimately politics, right? When we're looking at Trump, if we talk about Trump, it came down to politics of some sort, right? And one of the things that we know, even though I think Trump really messed up with the bump stock thing, the NRA was able to have some kind of influence over him. And his son, who is genuinely a gun guy, has some kind of influence over him. I worry about anyone else in any party, including libertarians, if that's just they're like, hey, maybe we can get the gun guys to come over here with us, but we know what we're really going to fight for is so that everyone can have weed. I'm for that too. I don't think that drugs should be illegal, but maybe it's just like a political move. But when they really get in there, they're like, hey, this is a bargaining chip. We'll give it away to you guys if we get something.
I do, because Joe Jorgensen came out of, for me anyway, nowhere, to get the nomination. And I mean, she's saying the right things. Get rid of the NFA. Get rid of the NFA. This, the ATF and all that. But when it looked like she was getting the nomination, I started looking her up a little bit, and I didn't see anything about her stances on guns. And then she kind of had to be coaxed to say that. So I mean, I do get what you're saying there. I mean, because go back to Trump in 2016. How him and the NRA, but there were still cracks that you could see. Like in one of the debates, there was with him and Hillary. There was talk about no fly, no buy, and Trump flat out told Hillary Clinton that I'm in agreement with you with that, and that's when he lost my vote. I protested.
What was, refresh my memory on the no fly, no buy thing?
Like if you're on a terrorist watch list, you're on the no. If you can't fly on a plane because you're on a watch list, you can't buy a gun. And
right. Okay.
Like so many people have not been able to fly because they were falsely on that list.
Thing has got lots of politics around it. I mean, there's you know what? Here, I'm going to shock you guys right now with what I'm going to say. We're still on guns, people. Technically, still on guns. But guess what? I don't even care. Lots of things have to do with politics. I'll give you a big example right here. One of the things in the news, and I don't know if you guys saw this or not, I could pull it up, I don't know if we need to, but in New York City, they stenciled a big Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Towers, right? In New York City. That's politics. That's about politics. And I do not support that at all, and I'll tell you why. What we're establishing is if a president is from a state or a city and we don't like him, we can now go do things like that. So in the future, if there's some president we don't like, we could go stencil things in front of stuff that has to do with them if we want to. That's politics.
You won't get away with it.
Yeah.
You won't get away with it because, well, I wouldn't get away with it because I'm not black.
Right.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Yeah. No. I mean, and we saw there was a couple that tried.
That's all. It's paint over one and they get arrested. It's a hate crime, right? Well, isn't it a crime to deface the? How do you get a permit to paint crap all over the highway?
Politics.
Pandering.
Yeah. Pandering politics.
Pandering. Yes. People. Yeah. And it's like, okay, fair's fair then. I can do the same thing. No, I can't do the same thing. Mike can't do the same thing. He will get away with it. He'll get arrested. As you get the paint out and start rolling, you'll get arrested.
Yeah, so, I think there was a couple that got arrested for that, and they're actually getting charged with a hate crime.
No, I'm talking about the original sign, not the paint over part of it.
Oh, painting the original sign.
If I started painting
White Lives Matter,
Black Lives lying Marxists.
Right.
Okay.
Or maybe if you try to paint White Lives Matter, you'd probably say that's racist. I agree with you on that, Walter.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And ultimately, I've seen people saying that if you try to say all lives matter, that's racist.
Oh, that's terrible too. Yes. That's terrible.
But to get back to this thing though, I don't know. I just want to know. There needs to be something. I don't want to feel like people are pandering and telling me they believe in something so that I could go over and give them my support and everything, and then nothing.
They're going to shit on you. They're going to shit on you when you get done.
Yeah,
I mean,
I worry about that.
The libertarians are going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's politics. It's politics. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way.
I mean, in general, the Republicans pander to the Second Amendment crowd because they rely. They think that we're going to vote on them just because they're not Democrats.
Yeah.
And Democrats did the same thing with basically the black vote, because without 90% of the black vote, Democrats lose. They pander to the black vote, but then they usually screw them over in the long run.
And I've seen Republicans have told me, and this is they don't even have the excuse of them being in New York City, but Republicans have told me that they believe in the Second Amendment right here. Right. I'm in the South. I don't know how much deeper you get in the South than this. And they've told me, I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm like, cool. Where do you go shooting? And they're like, no, I don't have any guns. I don't have any guns. I don't do. And then those are the same people that make those compromises. This thing happens, and all of a sudden, like, listen, we got to give them something. If we don't give them something, they won't stop. Then they give them that thing, and guess what they do? They don't stop.
You just let
You
your foot, you let their
Yeah.
foot in the door, and they kick
Yeah.
it wide open.
Right. I need that person that knows and understands that. So I'm not saying like when we go vote, it's all about one thing. To me, a big thing is about one thing because ultimately, if we don't have the Second Amendment in America, then I don't really think we have anything. I think it's a free for all at that
Well,
point.
I also get mad though that somebody who, are supposedly Second Amendment, but then they'll throw away the Fourth or Sixth Amendment rights away. I'm like, no, let's be for all the Bill of Rights.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately these are things that they should look at and say these things are outside of politics. These are things that people have the right to, and we're not going to debate it. It's
Yeah.
not debatable. This is what it is. Get used to it. Stop bringing it up. Where this is what it's going to be. But I just think that where it's like this it's this weird thing. So for me, I always worry about that, man. I don't really care like what that party is, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, independents, or whatever. I want to know that they really believe. How we got into this is the conversation about is the Second Amendment for everyone. You really have to believe it, otherwise it isn't.
I just think of the old the public health thing from the 70s.
Mhm.
VD is for everybody, not for just a few. If you ever seen that, Mike, look it up.
Oh boy.
In the 70s, they had public service things on TV that said about VD being for everybody because it is for everybody.
Right,
and
right.
people thought I thought it was crazy when I brought it up in the podcast. They looked it up and it goes, "It is. It's real." I said, "Yeah, it's real." Can you imagine if you did that now? Oh my God! What do you mean it's for everybody?
Yeah. By the way, Armament and Axes is trying to warn you that you got to talk loud to get a word in edgewise here. I don't think you have it. You're not having any issues, are you?
No.
I don't think you're having any issues. No, not at all. You're not an old fogey like Armament and Axis, so I think
I can say I can't hear you.
You can get your. Armament and Axis, by the way, was asking me why BLM isn't protesting in front of Planned Parenthood. I thought it was funny that
because that's who they get their money from. The same people.
Yeah, I thought it was. This is gonna be purely politics. So Kanye's running for president. He says he took off his MAGA hat, so he's not down with Trump anymore, but he's not down with Biden either. I guess he feels like he's the better thing, and he went after Black Lives Matter, and he was talking about abortion, and he's like, how come Black Lives Matter and these lives don't matter, and people got really mad at him and went after him about it, but you got to ask yourself,
Well, tearing down statues. Why aren't they tearing down Margaret Sanger's statue, the founder? I mean, she was one of the biggest racists in history.
Right.
Let's change all the Martin Luther King stuff. What about them?
Well, what he was saying is that abortion clinics are evil, and they're placed into these neighborhoods, and who are they mostly taking out? They're taking out lives of color. Now, everyone gets abortions, right? Just like you said, abortions are for everyone, like with VD, right? Everyone's doing that, but disproportionately, people of color are doing that, and they're located just in places so that can happen.
Well, I think there's a couple years there where there were actually more African American abortions than there were live births in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Well, mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're free.
We're talking about, I think, I looked this up one time. I think it's over 150,000, way over that a year. I mean, more people than have died from COVID-19 in all of America. There's been more there's more abortions than that every year. But no one thinks that that's any kind of thing to worry about or whatever. If you talk about it, you're evil because ultimately, that this is not a thing. It lives outside of logic.
And then they pull the babies out and chop their parts up and sell it.
Even worse.
Isn't that kind of like what Nazi did? Nazis.
Well, the reason that Margaret Sanger originally started it up was for eugenics. I mean, she wanted to get rid of minorities.
Right. That's why lots of people push that. Isn't that why? What's his name?
The Bush family relatives were involved with that too.
Yeah, but what's his name from Microsoft? Bill Gates.
Oh yeah, he's a another one.
Yeah, but you can't. These are things you can't say. So yeah, listen. I'm not saying I'm supporting Kanye. I don't really think he's running. I'm pretty sure.
It's a joke. Yeah.
No, not a joke. It's not a joke.
I wondered if he was going to get Granger Smith as his running mate, country singer. So you have the Yee 2020 ticket.
I think that he's promoting an album or something like that that's coming out. So, but he does say that people instead of voting for Biden, that especially black people should just do a write-in vote or something like that for him. And it is what it is. I know when I look at stats, they say that a lot of young black people definitely not support. I'm not voting for Biden no matter what. I could just tell you guys that right now. I'm not voting for Biden no matter what.
I don't care. I'll put the dog catcher up. I'll vote the dog catcher before I vote for Biden.
Do what you want to do.
I'll vote for the dog catcher's dog before I vote for Biden.
Yeah. I am not voting for Biden. That's just bottom line.
Him and Hillary are probably two of the absolute worst people because, used to, even though Democrats and liberals were bad on a lot of stuff, at least they might have actually been good on things like the Fourth Amendment, but they've become worthless neocons on that too. So I mean Biden, he was he's one of the architects of the drug war, and he wrote the '94 crime bill, which disproportionately affected a lot of black people. So
and this is where we're going with gun control. Gun control in America, these guys want to put into effect, are going to make everyone criminals. And probably the people who are most likely to wind up in jail over it are people of color. The people who the people, I don't know how to say it, the people who won't have the money or the wherewithal to defend themselves.
Poor people.
Yeah,
that's how you say poor people.
Because think about it, right? You won't be aware of the
too.
Yeah.
There's more white poor people than there is black poor people. So everybody gets affected. It's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
Well, this bill, I'm not sure if it got signed yet in Missouri, Senate Bill 600, which is basically one of these tough on crime bills, and it puts a lot less flexibility in sentencing and paroling and stuff. And the bad thing about that is it'll force, overzealous prosecutors will be trying to force people into plea bargains because, if you're found guilty, you get thrown in jail, you're not coming out for this. So it'll force people into plea bargains, but they'll still lose their constitutional rights. And, a lot of people who get forced into plea bargains are innocent, especially if they can't afford a good lawyer. Because usually that public defender, he's not the guy who got A's in law school.
Yeah. And what they will do is just tell you, listen, take the plea. So listen, to bring this back to one of the things that kicked this off, I think. So one of the terrible things about America is the two-party system, right? It would be great to have a strong third party that we could maybe get someone into the White House and do lots of other things. But I don't know if we're going to get that if that third party's biggest thing that they're standing on, or the biggest reasons why people are supporting it, is if they just want, weed. Right? I get it. I don't think that I think we need a lot less laws in America, and I don't think that any drug should be illegal, to be honest with you.
One thing that the Democrats kick the Republicans' asses in is thinking about the long game. Like, this stuff the Democrats are coming out with has been brewing for a generation. They've indoctrinated kids in schools for a generation. Democrats are, left, are really good about thinking about the long game.
Democrats are kicking Republicans' asses on everything.
And Republicans, try to think about now. So here's I don't necessarily want a libertarian to win. What I'd like to see happen is a Republican lose by less of a margin than a libertarian gets. And maybe that'll force the Republican Party to say, hey, maybe we need to look at more of a liberty direction. We need to maybe go more in the Rand Paul, Justin Amash, Thomas Massey type direction. That's the only thing that's going to, save the party, I think, in the long run, and, save the U.S. Otherwise, the Republicans basically become what the Democrats used to be, and the Democrats are just far gone.
I think Republicans, a lot of them, I'm not going to say all of them because I think we have some good Republicans out there, but a lot of them lost their backbone. They lost that ability to stand up to people and go, nope, not going to do it. It's not going to happen.
Right. Because they don't have any. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
If you can't afford to run your campaign, you can't be there, can you? So I'm going to pay your way, but you got to do what we want you to do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way it is.
Yeah. Ultimately, they're politicians, man. And I think that, I know this sounds like a conspiracy, but I think everyone's trying to push America towards the New World Order type of nonsense. You know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of these people they're getting their marching orders from other folks, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to take. I mean, it's going to take. I don't say the word revolution, but it's going to take some serious change before the Republicans change. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I think they need to modernize. I think they need to smarten up. I think Republicans are FUDs, not just when it comes to guns. Like, they're just
on a lot of rights.
Yeah, they're just FUDs, man. They're just FUDs. They don't understand. Like, Trump basically became president on his own. This is what I give him credit for. I'm just telling you. I saw it here in Gainesville. The Republican Party did not want Trump to be the Republican candidate elect, right? They didn't want him to be the guy. They didn't want it. And when he became the guy, they did not support him. The Republican Party. Lots of Republican parties around the country didn't actually support him. Right? And a lot of what we're seeing now, a lot of the infighting, a lot of the disloyalty, things that are leaking, every president's bad. I don't care who you talk about. The problem is, like, Obama had real loyal people, man. Up till now, no one's saying anything. Right? And we know craziness was going on.
Well, yeah, they're not saying anything because they know shit's going to hit the fan pretty soon. That's why they're not saying anything.
Yeah, but he basically did what he did off of a lot of things that he's still doing now, like talking to people directly, etc. And I think more Republicans need to realize that that's the way. That's the way. I don't think he did it just because he had money. I think that definitely helped that he could fund himself and he could push through a lot of things that were happening. For sure, right? That's part of the equation here. But he also left and he still leaves his communication up to himself.
Well, the one thing I can see that the I don't like Trump. I mean, I'm not gonna. I think there's Trump derangement syndrome on both sides, where people absolutely hate him. He can't do any good. And then there's people that he
can't
can
do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the one thing I see the appeal of him, whereas for years you kind of see the Democrats play dirty, and then you'd see like Mitt Romney would try to take the high road, and I could see the appeal of somebody who would actually somebody who would actually jump in there and fight back.
Yeah, forget the high road. I like the chaos. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off. I like the chaos of fighting back against these guys. We cannot be organized against them. I think if this went another way and you had someone else as the president but still a Republican, they would be giving Democrats a lot of what they want, because the truth is they want it too. We need this kind of chaos and pushback against them.
I think Trump is giving them a lot of what they want. I think a lot of this fight is for show. I mean, personally, I think behind closed doors, they're all friends. And because, I mean, even when you had a Republican Congress, Trump signed a $1 trillion omnibus bill that continued to fund Planned Parenthood, continued to fund PPS and NPR. And this is when you had Republicans in there. So Trump keeps signing these, and that's where you got the Fix Nix. Mm-hmm. That's where they actually got Fix Nix gun control.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's giving them a lot of what they wanted.
But I think we can blame that on two people. So I believe we could blame that on Trump, but I believe we can also blame that on Republicans.
Well, then the other
you can't yes, he could veto things, but really and truly, I mean, those Republicans have to block those things. That's how we're getting a lot of stuff around the country. I'm sorry, but here in Florida, for example, we got stuff because Republicans gave them gun control. Republicans run everything here, and there's no way in hell the Democrats could get anything passed here on the state level. Republicans gave it to them.
Yeah,
well, you guys can remember it's all about the money. It's all about that Bloomberg money down here in Florida. Trust me, those guys were all bought.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is like right before the thing that showed me that the impeachment was a show was right before the impeachment, they passed another $1.4 trillion bill that gave Trump pretty much everything he wanted. So you don't give somebody $1.4 trillion and then say, oh, I don't want you to be president. There's something weird with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would agree that there's that level of collusion with Trump, because I've never seen, and there's things that I see in Trump that I'm like, okay, this is crazy, but I've never seen this level of people coming down on someone who's president. Okay, it would not have been allowed under Obama. It would not have been allowed under Bush W. It would not have been allowed before this. So I see exactly where you're coming from, and I think a lot of that has merit, but I think the part where it's a collusion with Trump, I don't really believe that, man. The things that they're doing, Trump is from New York City. I grew up in New York City. The place that I like, so I don't know Trump, but I've met him many times. I knew his mother, because before she died, right? I worked in a hospital. She came in there a lot before she passed, so I knew her. The thing is that this is a New York City born and bred. To treat him that way is tantamount to like Hawaii doing that to Obama, or Texas doing that to Bush. We've never seen anything like that. And what people don't realize is that that's just pushing people back in his direction. When the people are mad at government, and you look at the president as a representation, and then they're like just going hardcore at the president, a lot of people go, you know what, screw you guys. This is what you don't want. Okay, I'm gonna give that to you because I don't like you guys. So it's not to say that I think that there are some problems there, right? There are some problems there, but the level of what we see going on here, we've never done that to any president. I've been living here since 1983. I've never seen that.
I seem to remember a lot of hatred towards W.
Not like this.
Yeah, but they didn't impeach him for bullshit. They didn't impeach him for bullshit. That for fake charges through FISA warrants, and it's all a big show. Yeah. That didn't happen.
I've never seen anything. I've never seen anything like this. I've just never seen anything like this.
But like I said, though, the day before they started the impeachment hearings, they passed a $1.4 trillion bill giving him everything he wanted. So that's.
But in that, I guarantee you,
but they all got stuff they wanted.
For the Democrats.
Yeah, everyone got everything they wanted out of that.
Yeah, everybody gets their paycheck.
The people lost in that. The people lose in that. That's who lost in that. Everyone, all of those guys who are politicians, Trump and everyone down on that pyramid. By the way, the pyramid, we're at the bottom of the pyramid. We're the slaves who died building the pyramid, right? But all those guys from the top down, they got stuff out of it. We know that for a fact. Republicans, Democrats, everyone got something out of that. Just look at who the loans and everything went to. And those people's families are sitting in Congress and the Senate and all that. So I don't know, man. I think this is a real cluster. If they were ever really just trying to break the country, it might be right now. That they're just trying to break every single damn thing and have people give up in everything, which it's weird because things were actually going in a pretty good direction.
Things were not bad before they let this all start.
Yeah. There's not everything. Things weren't perfect for guns, but even a couple of years ago they were looking good. And then it went crazy here, and for sure Trump is part of that.
Impeachment kind of saved us actually because that's when, I forget which shooting it was now, but I mean that's when you had Ivanka talking to Joe Manchin, and Trump was ready to give up a whole lot, and even McConnell was saying if Trump will sign it, we'll put it on his desk. So I mean that's impeachment kind of saved us from impeachment actually saved us from some gun control, I think.
Yeah.
But it may only be a temporary respite too.
Yeah. And ultimately we have to decide where the line is, because I think these guys want to give us gun control. I think Republicans and Democrats want to give us gun control. I'm worried that any politician just wants to do it. Ultimately, they're like, hey, but I just don't think, I think that's a signal of the end of America. America is going to be like every other place on the face of the planet, and the people will just have to bow down to the government after that. John Crump gave us $2 here. He says Matthew and Nikki want a shout out. Shout out to Matthew and Nikki. Take your butts and go to sleep. That's my message. I'm putting that in there. That's not, your dad didn't.
And it's past 9 o'clock. So
yeah, it is. Let me do this because I think we got nice and heated, which I enjoy. I enjoy that. But it's a good conversation. I think Mike, It was fun talking to you. Let's do this. Let's go around between Mike and Walter. We'll get them to tell the folks out there how they can reach out to them. We'll start with Mike. What can people do if they want to follow up with you, communicate with you, tell you how awesome and right you are?
Well, I have the Milsurp Mike channel on YouTube, of course. Milsurp Mike channel on Twitter. Milsurp Mike channel on Facebook and Instagram. So, and I started up a parlor, but I haven't really gotten into that too much yet.
Okay, understood.
But I mean, I'm pretty much on that's social medias I'm on.
Yeah, I know it's tough to have a whole bunch of social medias. My tip, if I could give you a tip, man, you have a smartphone, right? And that's what you're posting your social media stuff through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say use like a note app on your phone, and when you're posting something, write it out in that note. Whatever you're going to post and all that, links or whatever it is. And then just copy and paste that into all these different social medias and try to be everywhere, because I think none of the social medias care about us. Parler is perhaps a little bit better, but it's still not a major one, and the major social medias don't care about us. We should try to be on them just for securing the real estate of that. In case one place kicks you off, you could tell your fan base, hey, I'm over here. And it always helps you if you have a couple of people over there as well. Ultimately, the folks out there choose which social medias they want to follow.
Here I might go off on just a little tangent here. Like, people talk about Gunstreamer, and like I think it's the Utah Gun. What's that other one? Utah Gun Exchange?
Yeah.
And that's great to have those channels. But one of the reasons that I mainly stay on YouTube is, you go on those other platforms, they're great platforms, but you're preaching to the choir there. Whereas I have gotten political in some of my videos before, but I kind of like the Seeing Arsenal and Forgotten Weapons. I kind of like their philosophy a little bit, and I'm kind of trying to go back to that being a gateway drug, but I can't keep my mouth shut. It's my problem.
Yeah.
So. But I like.
I say just be you, man. Be you on your channel. If something really gets under your bonnet like that, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go say something about this. Do it, man. I mean, you don't have to be about that all day, every day. But if it's you, then I feel like you should do it. And the one thing about all these other places is eventually we're not going to be able to do this. Even these discussions that we're having right now, we're not going to be able to do it here, man. These guys are just waiting for political cover to go after that. So, I mean, that's a whole other thing we can get deep into. Let me go to Walter. How can the folks keep up with you, Walter? Tell you how awesome you are. Complain about you eating a cookie.
I could give them the recipe if they want. Anybody can make
those. Weren't fresh-made cookies.
Yes, they were.
Oh, okay.
They were baked. They were warm when I was eating them, my friend.
Oh, congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Cookie Gate.
Cookie Gate, yeah.
Yeah. How can the people support you?
Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Safety Hour Farms. You can check out the go-kart mini bike stuff over on Dirtfoot Racing and also on those three, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. There's STEMParts.com, and then there's SafetyHourFirearms.com. So.
Awesome. And like I said before, I want to remind everyone that we're not going to be here tomorrow. No show tomorrow and Friday because we're doing this thing in Orlando, the independent party thing. Who knows? They might have a big picture of me up in the front door and refuse to let me in. But whatever. I'm not really sure they knew what they were getting into when they asked me to do something. But I'm going to go there. I'm going to be there. So if you're showing up there Saturday, I'll be there. If you want to look it up, hit us up. We'll give you more info on that. I really want to thank Milsurp Mike for coming on. His channel is on YouTube. It's the Milsurp Mike channel. Please go over there. Support him. Lots of cool stuff going on over there. Hopefully he'll come back. Who knows?
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll get you back. What's that, Walter? Support Walter also. Go get some stocks. Stocks are kicking out every day.
Yeah. We're building them and shipping them out as fast as we can. So
yeah, absolutely. And we've got several things coming up. Let me play the end through here for everyone. All right, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel here. Ring the bell so you can be notified. Leave your comments. Share these videos. We're going to rip out the audio here and throw it up on iTunes or any place else that you listen to your podcast. You'll be able to find us, so go check that out. Big thanks to Harry's Holsters for sponsoring this podcast. If you use the code HankStrange, you'll get 10% off at Harry's Holsters. They make Kydex, fine Kydex holsters. I know Harry's out there churning out the holsters. Shout out to him. Who wants the last? You know what? I'm going to give you the last word, Mike. What do you want to leave us with tonight?
Hey, if you're into Milsurps, like I said earlier, you get Swiss firearms, buy Milsurps, read up history. Knowing your history is a good way to not repeat past mistakes.
Good one. Good one. Thank you so much. Thanks to all you guys out there. Be safe. Have a great weekend. We are out of here. See ya.
Bye.